Gabriel at Bold as Bronze asks, if the D-backs make the postseason, what will the roster look like? He says, please, no Pavin. Now, I know that there's a lot. I think our next question is also, Damon, can we see the next one as well? It comes from Straight Mons and says, why don't we call up Jake McCarthy and send Pavin down? It's the most logical thing to do. We are seriously trying to make the wild card. So I felt like both of these questions are related. They're both essentially the same question. And it's the question a lot of people have on their mind. Why aren't we turning to Jake McCarthy at this point and sending anybody? I mean, honestly, it could be Pavin Smith. It could be a number of guys. But to be honest, with the way that Jake McCarthy is playing, I really do feel like I agree with the sentiment that he should be called up. Jake McCarthy just won back-to-back PCL Player of the Week award, and he is just absolutely killing it at a AAA level with all of his weapons, with all of his tools. It doesn't really seem very logical to not turn to him, right? I mean, at this point, he's just been, and again, like we saw with Jordan Lawler, like we just discussed a little while with Kyle Lewis, doesn't equate over to success at a major league level, but he just seems so hot right now that why wouldn't you bring him back up to see how he's doing at a major league level? He was always a very good defender for this team, and
the base running obviously is a huge asset. Yeah, I mean, Jake McCarthy over his last 15 games is slashing 458, 494, 778.
What?
You can't
458?
You can't ask for anything better than that, right? I mean, there comes a point when it's pretty clear that Jake McCarthy just doesn't really belong in AAA, and clearly he is far beyond the level of most players in that league. So yeah, I think it still feels inevitable to me that Jake McCarthy will be called up at one point. And yeah, if you're calling up Jake McCarthy from a positional standpoint, Pavin Smith kind of lines up with his expected role the best. So there is just kind of a natural match there. Pavin has had some good at-bats so far that we've seen, but I think he's 0 for 6 with 3 walks. That's still not the kind of production that you're looking for. So we've talked about previously, for a guy who doesn't have a lot of defensive value, doesn't have a lot of base running value, things that Jake McCarthy obviously does have.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me with Jake is like, it's obviously, I mean, part of it is Pavin's lack of production, but for me, it's just like the way that the times that this team has been most exciting and the most dangerous is when they create chaos, and Jake is obviously much more capable of creating chaos, particularly on the base paths, than damn near anybody on this team, let alone just Pavin. So like,
even if Jake didn't hit, there's still value.
And so at this point, it's kind of, it's similar to the Lawler Ahmed thing in the sense that it's like, if these two things if the two are comparable, then you got to start going to like kind of intangible things. And I think all the intangible reasons that you would want one of these guys lean in Jake's favor.
Yeah. It's like in that instance, it's because Jordan Lawler is the future of this team, and you want to kind of get him started on the road to being acclimated to a major league level as soon as possible. I don't know if Jake is a future part of this team, but he very much feels like he could be. Yeah. He very much feels like he could be part of this core that they're building that would include Lawler, maybe Perdomo, obviously Corbin, obviously Moreno, but they have a lot of guys that are all around the same age, Alec Thomas, and that these guys could all end up being this core of this team that is hopefully, helps produce a winner here for a number of years while they're there, right? But, it remains to be seen who the Diamondbacks are going to truly invest in and who they're going to kind of look at as being assets that they can part ways with and maybe bring in somebody else to get them from this level that they're at up to the next level. I just feel like Jake at times is part of that. And I don't know if his sample size is big enough to really consider him a huge part of this team's future. It's just the energy that he brings. Like you said, he doesn't even necessarily have to be swinging the bat well for him to bring something offensively to the team. And obviously we know how good he is in the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, is Jake like a part of the core of this team? Is he one of the 3 or 4 best players that you're building around for the future? Not necessarily. I don't think we're quite to that point. If
that's not the case for Jake, it's certainly not the case for Pavin.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty clear. And even if Jake isn't that guy, he still has a lot of value as like a 4th outfielder. I mean, if Jake McCarthy's your 4th outfielder, I think think that's pretty good. I mean, not that many fourth outfielders play good defense and are among the best base runners in the sport. There's a lot of value in him in that role. So I think that does make a lot of sense.